Hello everyone, my name is Shreya and I'm a legal intern at Lexis and Company. I am pursuing BLLB honors from Law College Dehradun, Uttaranchal University. I am currently in 7th semester. I am very glad to be interning at Lexis and Company, because of which I have been given this opportunity of presenting to you guys with this video. So the purpose and topic for this video will be to explain to you guys the essential elements of the Hindu marriage in brief. So basically the essential elements of Hindu marriage are given in section 5 of the Hindu Marriage Act. So something very basic which the Hindu Act says, because which the Hindu Act says, which which is an essential conditions for a marriage to take place under this section, that is, the parties must be Hindus under section 2 clause 3 of the Hindu Marriage Act. According to this section, both the parties to the marriage under the act must be Hindus, or must be Hindus, and if one of them is Hindu and the other is a non-Hindu, or both are non-Hindus, such marriage will not be the subject matter under this section. For such marriage where one person is non-Hindu or both the parties are non-Hindu, they will be governed by either the Special Marriage Act or any other act. So let's begin with the essential conditions which are specified. So what clause 1 of section 5 specifies is the condition of monogamy. This clause lays down that neither of the parties must have a spouse living at the time of the marriage. That is, they should be single and not a married person. Both the parties should be unmarried. What spouse means is a lawfully married partner. So however, a concubine is not a spouse here. Either each one of them must have been unmarried before the marriage, or if married, the other spouse must be either dead or the marriage has been dissolved because of divorce. That is, on no condition you should be married. You should be unmarried at that point of time when you conceive the marriage. Thus, no man can have more than one wife and no woman can have more than one husband at one and the same time. So what the second clause says about is the condition regarding the mental health. Marriage is both a bliss and a burden at this one and same time, and it requires mental health to enjoy it and also to bear it. Thus, a sound mind is considered indisputably the key to happy married life. So, what unsoundness of mind specifies in this clause is that it is divided into 3 subclauses. So, what subclause A tells is what subclause A requires is that neither party must be incapable of giving a valid consent to marriage due to unsoundness of mind. That is, if you are of unsound mind and you do not feel capable of giving a valid consent, so such condition should not take place if you want to marry the other person. So what subclause B says that is about the mental disorder. According to this clause, neither party to marriage should be suffering from any kind of mental disorder, and that mental disorders should be of such nature and to such a degree which makes the person unfit for 2 purposes, that is marriage, understanding the basic requirements of marriage, and for procreation of children. Even if a person can give a valid consent to marriage, maybe there is a person A, he or she gives a valid consent to marriage, that okay, I want to fulfill this marriage, I want to be in this marriage without anyone's force, and but he is of mental disorder, and is incapable for procreation of children, such marriage will not be valid. So moving on to the subclause C is the recurrent acts of insanity. No one should be suffering from such insanity where the person time and again suffers from such attacks resulting in insanity. So this person will not be qualified for marriage under this clause. So this was about clause second, about the mental health. So next we move on to clause 3, that is the condition of marriageable age. As we all know, at the time of the marriage, the bride must have completed the age of 18 years and the groom should have completed the age of 21 years. Originally the Hindu Marriage Act had prescribed the age of 15 years for the bride and 18 years for the groom, but subsequently by the amendment, considering the social policy of family welfare, this age was increased to 18 in the case of girls and 21 in the case of boys. So we move on to clause 4 of section 5, that is the avoidance of degree of prohibited relation. So this clause 4 makes it a condition of marriage that both the parties must be related to each other within the should not be related to each other within the prohibited degree of relationship, unless the custom or usage governing each of them permits of a marriage between the two. That is, there is certain prohibited degrees relationship provided in this act, which says that if you fall under this category, you cannot marry the person. For example, brother, sister, and father, daughter, or some relations like this. However, if your custom or usage of the religion by which you are governed allows you to have a marriage, if you falls under this prohibited degree of relationship, you can do so. Otherwise it will not be a valid point. However, what is the effect of such violation? A marriage in contravention of this clause is by section 11 made invalid. Section 11 of Hindu Marriage Act invalidates such marriage where it is punished, where the person falls under the prohibited degree of marriage. So moving on to, and it is punishable under section 18B of the Hindu Marriage Act. So moving on to the last clause, that is the 5th clause, which speaks about the avoidance of subpenda relationship. Again, this is a similar kind of similar to the previous section, which says that the parties to the marriage must not be subpendas to each other unless their customs and usages permits them to marry. So there is this category of subpenda relationships provided in Hindu Marriage Act, and it's prohibit the person taking marriage under this section, that if they are in subpenda relation, they are subpendas to each other, they cannot marry each other. However, there is an exception that if their customs or usages of the religion by which they are governed, it permits them, they can. And the violation of it is given as in section 11, and its punishment is given under section 18 clause B. So this was about the essentials of Hindu Marriage Act in brief. I hope you guys like this video. If you have any question, do ask me and share feedback, and do not forget to like and share this video. Thank you for watching.